I'm so happy to have Amy join us on this call today. Amy, if for those who don't know, is the owner and also the designer of one of our favorite brands on our store, Oh Happy Home. So Amy is joining us all the way from Australia. I know she just woke up. It's like 9 a.m. over there, her time right now. So hi, Amy, welcome.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
joining
Welcome.
me.
Yep. Thank you. It's good to be here. Not that early, 9 o'clock. I am up a few hours earlier.
Oh yes,
Sorry.
because you have kids, so
Yeah,
obviously you're not up at 9. You're
yeah,
probably
I've
up
been
at
up for
like
a few hours.
6.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so thank you for coming. I know I have some questions prepared, and I honestly I just want to start by saying that I've learned a lot from you over the years. Like you were one of the first suppliers that we've taken on at Rugs by Rue, and over time, I know we've had conversations over the phone and through email, and lots of like conversations back and forth where I've actually learned a lot from you in terms of the rug industry, about your rugs in particular, and also like the way you source your manufacturers and stuff like that. So I just want to say thank you right off the bat for educating me with all that golden knowledge. I guess the first question I want to ask you is maybe just tell us about yourself, like who's in your household, why rugs, what does it mean to you, like what's important to you, things like that.
Sure. Yep. So I live in Western Australia, which is on the west side of Australia. Our business is Oh Happy Home, and I actually moved a couple of years ago down to regional Western Australia. So we live 5 hours away from our warehouse in the city of Perth. But one of the reasons was to give our boys, I guess, a bit more of a country lifestyle.
Right.
I've got three boys. One is 16, one is 12, and one is 7. So we've got a bit of a spread. Wasn't always intentionally meant to be that way, but that's the way it is. So my husband works down here in Albany, which is 5 hours south of Perth, the capital city. He is a teacher, but he works with high risk needs kids. And I've managed to, keep the business sort of churning really well and managing, from different sites. So my background is always been in the creative arts. I have a degree in teaching, but I actually majored in textiles. So always loved working with fiber, and I did an arts degree, and that sort of my major was with textiles. So it was after I'd sort of finished teaching, I always wanted to be in business and always really passionate about fair trade. And I guess sort of I've always loved rugs as well. And so it was a natural progression. I just started making my own things from felt, and I was working in Nepal for many, many years. And we sort of rebranded about 5 years ago now, or 4 years ago now, and became Oh Happy Home, and sort of shifted a lot of my focus towards India
Right.
and concentrating more on rugs. And it sort of just has snowballed from there, from something that I sort of started off as a little bit of a hobby and a bit of a side business has become, a full-time gig. So it's been a really exciting journey. And the last few years, and working with you guys as well has been, just opened us up to a whole new world. So what else?
that,
And I
that's a,
love working in India. Yeah.
yeah, I actually didn't know that you used to like at the beginning you made your own
Mm.
felt rugs. I didn't know that you made it yourself. um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's
Uh,
so interesting.
yeah. Well, that didn't last long because it just was too time consuming, and
Well, yeah,
I
of
was getting a
course.
lot of my wool from Nepal. So I had visited there, and they said that they would make my stuff for me. And I still ideally would like to work more in Nepal, but sort of India has taken a bit more of my, or most of my manufacturing at the moment. But
Yeah,
eventually I'll hopefully get back to Nepal, because it is a beautiful part of the world that I'd like to support as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's beautiful. um, I know that oftentimes when I chat with you, either through email or phone conversation, you're always referring to yourself as the little rug store. But in my mind, you're not little at all, because you actually sell one of our best-selling rugs in our store. Like no other rug has sold that as many units as your Going
Yeah.
Dotty rug. So what, like, I just want to ask, why do you think customers like that rug so much?
Yeah,
Do you
it's, I
know?
guess, yeah, I think it's, I guess its roots are sort of based on a sort of a Moroccan Berber rug. And it's just the black and white, very simple design. It will fit with many different sort of styles, I guess. So if you're going for a Scandi style or maybe even a coastal style, it seems to just really, really work. It's not too in your face, the pattern, I guess. And
Yeah.
people also feel like that's a safe choice, but it also, really makes a room pop as well. I think
Hmm.
too, being washable, and it people make that choice as well to, yeah, to put that one. But it has been, I think it has been our number one seller here as well.
Hmm.
And yeah, it just seems to go with anything, so it's one of those
Yeah.
long rugs. Yeah,
Yeah, we've
yeah,
gotten that from our customers as well. It's like the design is like it's kind of fun, but it's also not boring. So it's like a perfect balance, and it's so versatile that can go anywhere.
yeah.
I know one of the things, you were actually the first friend that introduced me to Goodweave
Mhm.
International, which is a non-for-profit organization that takes a holistic approach to ending child labor. Um, can you tell us what made you decide to go with a Goodweave manufacturer? Because I know you, as a as a company, you actually have to pay an additional fee to be a certified Goodweave supplier. So why go with something that's Goodweave certified versus a factory that is not Goodweave certified?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I guess that side of things has always been really important to me, because uh, I know specifically in the carpet industry that child labor is, still very prevalent. And when I first started working in India, it was really important for me to go and visit the manufacturers, more for me to get that sort of gut feeling, and knowing that who I was actually working with, that they, I didn't want to work with big factories. I wanted to work with small families, and I guess to get that gut feeling. Both of my manufacturers, they weren't accredited with Goodweave to start with. So that was
Mhm.
a process of getting them accredited. It didn't take long, but um, so I guess there are other accreditations that you can get for textiles, and they all do, great work. But the reason that I went with Goodweave is that they've been around for 25 years now. So they've been on the ground in India, and specifically for the carpet industry.
Mhm.
And they also look at the whole supply chain. So not just the weavers, but it goes from, when the yarn gets processed, so all the workers, right through to the finishing and the washing of the rugs,
Mhm.
all that side of things is checked.
Mhm.
So they do look for child, if there's any children working in the factories, but it's actually more than that. It's more that, all the workers are getting a fair wage, that they're treated fairly, that they get, additional, they get lunch provided, all that sort of stuff is checked, and
Mhm.
it's audited. They have a yearly audit, but then they also have spot checks and things. It's been a little bit difficult during COVID, but they do get those sort of spot checks. And
Mhm.
I guess, it's
Yeah.
sort of, so that was just really important to me. It wasn't just about the child labor. Obviously, that's really important, but it was
Mhm.
more making sure that everyone was paid fairly. Because as a as a company, you don't know what someone else should be paid in that country. What's a
Yeah.
fair wage?
Yeah.
So to make sure that that's all ticked, all the boxes ticked, is sort of
Yeah.
a
And I
great.
guess it's also like your eyes on the ground because you're not physically there anymore.
Mhm.
So being remote, like
Yeah,
there's a third party that's making sure that
yeah,
that keeps going that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Goodweave is an international standard as well, so it is internationally known. So you know, and I think the consumer is becoming more and more aware that when they see that sticker on the back of a rug, they know that, you know, it has been made fairly. And that's right, really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have 3 boys, as you mentioned. So being a mom, I know it's often hard finding the balance between sharing too much information with them and sharing not enough. So I know when I first started in the rug industry, like I was watching this documentary called The Price of Free. And I watched it with my daughter, who was 4 years old at the time, and she was asking a ton of questions. And after that, I did wonder, like, should I not have exposed her to too much at such a young age, because I don't know how it would impact her. So I guess the question is, how do you find the balance between educating them enough so that they will care, because you want them to have those core values and beliefs growing up, but also not exposing them to too much that it gets them all kind of worked up and stressed out about it?
Yeah, it's a hard balance, that's for sure. But and I guess, you know, I say to my kids, and my kids are so blessed. Like, they have no idea, like, you know, what half the world lives like, you know. And I guess it's showing them that, you know, what you have is far exceeds, and some of your problems far exceed, you know, what half the world is like living, you know, just living day to day or piece by piece, you know. So
Yeah.
it's, I guess it's about keeping, my kids are a little bit older, but keeping the communication lines open, and just really, you know, anything that they any social issues or things that they think are important to them is really just keeping those open and discussing those. You know, we have meal times where, you know, our meal times are sacred, and that's where we discuss things of the day. And I guess just listening to what's important to them, but then also I'm able to share, you know, what's been happening in India, or, you know, we've been fairly unaffected here with COVID in WA and West Australia. So you know, just, I guess, getting them to appreciate that what they have here is amazing, and that they are so blessed. But then also, you know, sharing, you know, what goes on in the world as well, but not creating fear, I guess, is the big, it's not, is saying that, you know, you can make a difference, and you know, your life, whatever you decide to do, you can make a huge difference in the world, even if it's just small steps, you know. I guess just getting them to think outside the box. And I think traveling is great for that as well. I mean, obviously I would love to take them to India, and that is on the cards once we can travel again, or whether they'll let us out of Australia again. You know, we've been to Indonesia and places like that where they have opened their eyes. India is probably a whole different ball game, and but I think it's so good for them to see how good they've actually got it. And
I personally haven't been to India, and I would love to visit as well, and also take my kids there too, because it's an education on its own.
Definitely.
Final question. So I know the term shopping with intention is actually the term that I first heard about from you. I never, as a consumer, never really thought about that as a concept. So I was wondering if you could leave our audience with 5 tips on how to shop with intention as a consumer, whether it's questions that you ask yourself or questions that you ask of the makers of the products that you're buying. Like, what would be 5 top things that you would want to ask the question of when you're shopping with intention?
Yep. So I guess when we're shopping is just to really think about what you're buying, first of all. You know, do you really need it, for one thing? And thinking about, okay, so who made this actual product? You know, is it handmade? You know, what is the price of the product? How could, if something, if something was made for $10 a t-shirt, you sort of think, well, I wonder how much the person, so just thinking about, I wonder how much the person actually got paid making that. It doesn't, price doesn't necessarily mean that it's been made ethically either. So, but it's just doing your research and thinking about intentionally, who made it, I guess, is the biggest thing, and what's in it too. So thinking about the environment as well. So we live in a really fast fashion or fast homewares sort of, you're on Instagram all the time and you're seeing stuff and you go, okay, I want that. But it may only last for, that year, or it falls apart. And so thinking about not only who made it and how much it costs, but thinking about the environment, where does that get disposed of, once it's broken, or once you're finished with it. So thinking about intentionally about what you're buying, is it going to last? Is it something that I'm going to use for years to come? And when it breaks down, is it going to be able to break down, and is it okay for the environment? Is it sustainable? So a lot of cheap rugs are made with polyesters and nasty things like that, which don't break down, that take a long time to break down. So thinking about natural products when you buy as well. I don't know how many points that was, sorry.
No, I think that's a great list already. I really like the first one that you said, is do you need it? Because I'm actually reading a book right now. It's called The Day the World Stopped Shopping. And just reading that book, it makes me rethink, like, do I really need anything? Right? No. Like it's crazy. It's really crazy.
And sometimes I get that tension with when you create products and you're marketing, you want to sell your product, and I get this like, well, do they actually really need it? And I guess obviously we always need hugs to keep us warm and that kind of thing, but I guess it's just having that mindset, like, it's not things that make us happy, but just being really wise with your purchases, whatever it is, fashion, homewares. And
I think that wraps up this call really well, because the name of your company is called Oh Happy Home. So it's like, it doesn't really matter what you have inside your home. Well, the products, like, choosing wisely is obviously better than not choosing wisely, but also like it really is about the atmosphere and the people in making a home that you love. So with that, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for sharing all that information. I know one final thing, if you'd like to announce it, we are doing a giveaway. Would you like to tell everyone what we're giving away today?
Okay, so we're giving away a cotton Berber Going Dotty round. So that's part of our washable range. It's 150 centimeters, which is, I don't know, you'd have to do it in the inches. Can't remember.
I think it's like 59 inches, I think.
So we're giving that away today. All the details will be on Rugs by Rue's Instagram page, and what to do. And we're really excited to be a part of this. And
great. Thank you so much, Amy.